Every company is going to have a slightly different flow in how they conduct their inspections. We will go over what the flow looks like for an inspector on our team as an example. We figure an average typical inspection takes our inspectors about 4 total hours, and that's from start to finish. That includes the inspection prep time, the on-site inspection portion, building the inspection report, and then delivering the report. That being said, I can remember spending all night on one of my first inspection reports, just figuring out all of the little quirks of the software and waiting for the photos to upload onto my dinosaur of a laptop. My very first job probably took me over 12 hours, start to finish. That's including the report time. And I'll say speed does come with time and practice. As with most companies these days, our inspectors utilize a report writing software to assemble their reports. Since 90% of the deficiencies, meaning things that are wrong, are things we come across time and again, many of our comments are pre-written and only need to be tweaked to fit the specific location and situation. Using a report software makes building an aesthetically pleasing, cohesive report much more streamlined. We complete about 80% of the inspection on site, greatly reducing our workload after the inspection. We typically spend about 10 to 15 minutes before arriving at the inspection, prepping our inspection report software for that specific inspection while doing some very basic property research beforehand. You can find simple details on a house by looking at the listing information on websites like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, and other similar sites to that. We also make it a point to show up early to every inspection, typically aiming to be there between 30 and 40 minutes before the official start time. We use this time to find a good parking spot that's out of the way, knock and introduce ourselves if there's currently somebody home, and to get a good head start on the exterior portion of the inspection. In many areas of the country, there is typically a buyer's real estate agent and the home buying clients present at the inspection. In other areas of the country, inspectors are allowed access to the home using the realtor's lockbox, so they may not interact with clients or buyer's agents very often. We typically spend about 30 minutes inspecting the exterior and grounds. It's good to remember that the home inspection must happen rain or shine, so we must be prepared for the elements. Granted, some areas of the home may be excluded from the inspection. If it's unsafe or we are unable to view it, for example, ice or snow on a roof. We like to conduct the roof inspection routine after the exterior and before starting on the garage or interior. When possible and safe to do so, it is best practice to physically traverse the roof. There are some specialty tools on the market that can be utilized for inspecting the roof when traversing is not possible, such as drones and camera poles. After the roof, we like to inspect the garage. This includes inspecting the doors, interior, and overhead attic space if present. We also often come across some of the home's mechanical in the garage, such as the electric panel and water heater and or furnace. We inspect this mechanical equipment at this time as well. After the garage, we like to begin inspecting the kitchen, followed by the top to bottom of the interior and bathrooms. And then we find all of the attic spaces. After finishing up all of that, we come up and finish the inspection by doing the crawl space or the basement areas. Many people joke they do what we do if only they weren't afraid of attics and crawl spaces. It is true, this is often where the nasty stuff such as rodents and itchy insulation is found. In our company, each inspector has an entire backpack full of crawl space PPE, which means personal protective equipment, and that helps make us more comfortable in these areas. In our area, for our typical home buyers inspection, we usually have our clients and their real estate agents on site throughout most of the inspection, about 75% of the time. In this case, sometimes they will be on your hip the entire time, And other times they will be chit-chatting with each other, but they certainly want to know at least a brief overview of the highlights at the end of your inspection. We always finish up on site by going over the highlights with the clients and asking if they have any other questions before leaving. In many other areas of the country, it might be standard for the buyer and or buyer's agent to show up early at the end for an overview. In many other areas of the country, it might be standard for the buyer and or buyer's agent to show up only at the end for an overview. In some areas, it is standard for inspectors to be the only one on site during the inspection. In areas where the real estate agent is not expected to be on site the whole time, typically home inspectors will need to go through their local multiple listing service, or MLS, to get access to the real estate key boxes in order to access the home for an inspection. There are certainly pros and cons to both formats. After completing the on-site portion of the inspection, now it is time to wrap up the report and get it out to the client as quickly as possible. Because we use a mobile software on site and have done a lot of work to adjust it to our liking, we only need to spend about 20 to 40 minutes on average after the inspection to get our report finished and sent out. There are some inspectors nowadays who actually send their reports out on site, while others have a standard of delivering the next day. Some companies are still printing reports out on site to give their clients. However, in our market in the Pacific Northwest, clients are just as happy to have a digital version and might even give you the stink eye for killing so many trees with a printed report. Know your market. So that's a really basic overview of our inspection flow and process. If you decide to build your own company from the ground up, you can create an inspection routine that works well for you. If you get hired as an inspector for another company, you will likely need to learn their routine.